Hello. You know, I never really want to trash games or the people that make them. I started this YouTube channel with the idea that I could still remain critical while being mindful of the fact that people don't set out to make bad games. That games represent someone's journey in their game development career. I didn't want to be an angry, shouty games man in a field full of angry, shouty games men. And then I accidentally ran into one of Phoenix Games' games, and boy, that mindset has been put to the test. I found Rhythm Beat in a charity shop late 2018, and when I played it and realised I wanted to talk about it, I found myself with a difficult task. You see, Rhythm Beat is a bad game. A very bad game. Arguably the worst game I have ever played on the original PlayStation, and it's not just bad, it's cynically bad. Game you could actually argue has no artistic merit, rushed out to follow a trend for money. To put Rhythm Beat into some sort of context, you see, Phoenix Games was an infamous budget, or super budget to use their term, publisher that operated between 2003 and 2009. And while little is really known about them beyond them being a joint English and Dutch company, they were rather prolific, releasing some 125 games in that time period, from the original PlayStation to the Wii and Nintendo DS. As all the development was in-house, their small team must have produced each game in just a few months, if that. And it shows, as their output was nothing but games that were either rip-offs of Disney films, such as the Dalmatians series, and it's worth pointing out that Dalmatians 2 through to 4 were actually the same game, renamed depending on which console it was released on. And even then it was basically just a digital colouring book with a few badly animated, drawn cutscenes. Or there were games that were rip-offs of other games like London Taxi, which was a poor, buggy clone of Crazy Taxi. And it's in this latter category that Rhythm Beats falls. A cash-in on those Dance Dance Revolution or DDR machines, a craze from the late 1990s and early 2000s. You couldn't visit an arcade at the time without seeing at least one of those machines, and they quite often had a crowd, so of course they made their way back to the home. From good quality official arcade ports to cheap knockoffs like Rhythm Beat and everything in between. Britney Spears even had her own Dance Dance Revolution style game, which was apparently pretty good all things considered. Anyway, you probably remember you could buy the plastic roll-up replicas of these dance mats. They were total crap, but they were very, very popular. So yeah, as cheaply made as possible is the, shall we say, ethos here, and it exudes it from the very start as we're given a quick glance at the title screen that I can only describe as a pastel nightmare. Actually, let's just pause here a moment, as this screen is one of my favourite things about the game. It's the clip art font, it's the overuse of lens flares, but most of all, it's the record label that's just a solid gold orange with the word good written on it. Good! I like to think this was some sort of self-aware, ironic statement by the dev team, but I doubt that much thought was put into this game. Anyway, it dumps you into a menu with 3 choices. Options is literally just an option to turn sound on or off, which I thought was funny, the idea of a silent rhythm game, but actually all it does is silence the menu sounds. Beyond them, there are no other sound effects in the game at all, whatsoever. No speech, no beeps, nothing. Song mode is likely meant to be the main part of the game, and after selecting the difficulty level, you've got easy or hard, that's your lot, there's no medium difficulty here. You're presented with all the songs in the game arranged in rows. A pastel nightmare, adding some metallic spiral, but otherwise, bland as you like. I've got to be honest here, 15 tracks is actually more than I expected. They're all basic Pro Tracker style tunes though, the type you used to find on old Amiga cover discs and CDs. I don't know where they pulled them from, maybe some royalty-free library, but I kinda dig them as I instantly think of Pro Tracker and Octamed and the likes of that. Plus the names of the songs are suitably stupid. Copy and paste is ironic. SMS Attack, and I wonder if they're referring to text messages or the Sega Master System. Flying Flies, because flying is what flies do. You're disgusting.
Disgusting!
Why, thank you for noticing. Mutant Smile, Flattery will get you nowhere. And Bloody Dusk. No, wait, hold on. does that say Bloody Dusk? Anyway, you think to yourself, I fancy a bit of sha-la-la. You select the song, and it gives you the most basic gameplay screen I think you'll ever see. Obviously, you've got the standard DDR-style input area here. You press the correct direction on the pad as the arrows meet the arrows in the middle. It's very standard. And then in the background, you've got this psychedelic mess. I don't know. How do you make something psychedelic so bland? And then there's the vaguely music-related shape scrolling along and... Okay, alright, I'm ignoring the elephant in the room here, aren't I? You've no doubt locked your eyes on it already. The vaguely human shape shuffling along in the background, throwing out moves with nary a care in the world. I'd call it dancing, but it's not dancing, is it? The moves aren't related to the music in any sort of way, and definitely aren't to the beat. Indeed, it would seem the team had a small handful of animations and just programmed them to throw them out at random. Speaking of random, the character in the background is chosen at random as well. There's this guy in his orange top and clown shoes who looks like the most bullied kid at the school disco. The black dude with the improperly coloured flares and counterfeit global hypercolour shirt. The woman with the blonde beehive hairdo whose crop top appears to have fused with their skin. And finally, the woman with the dark beehive hairdo and clothes whose colour defy all taste and logic. And as disconnected as these characters seem from the music, the same can be said for the actual gameplay. The arrow track doesn't represent the ebb and flow of the music, they don't match the beat, there's no difference between the faster and slower tunes. They seem as random as every other element of the game. And that's not to mention how there's a lack of gameplay features, like there's no long arrows where you have to hold the input. If you win, you get a basic congrats screen displaying your score and a rating. If you lose, you get a disaster screen with your score and a rating. And either way, it's back to the main menu. Oh, and that other game mode, Collection, that's just 3 playlists of 5 songs in a row. Same win screen, same disaster screen, back to the main menu afterwards. Nothing else, nothing. From top to bottom, this game is the representation of bare minimum. It's like they've just got a collection of game assets and thrown them together as quickly as possible. And that's Phoenix Games all over, really. Those paying attention might have noticed that earlier I said Phoenix Games were in operation between 2003 and 2009, which puts their first games into the PlayStation 2's lifespan. Indeed, Rhythm Beat was released in 2004, around 3 years after the PlayStation was superseded by the PlayStation 2, long after the original PlayStation's peak. Then there was the price label on the cover, £7.99. That won't have been a sale price or anything. These were games aimed directly at the young child who has inherited their older siblings' PlayStation after they got a PlayStation 2, or for a grandma looking for a Christmas present. And you know, 125 games spanning 6 years before fizzling out during the days of the Wii, which ironically is a console known for being flooded by cheap party games and shovelware. There must have been some sort of market for these games, if not a huge one. Cheaply and quickly made games produced for a quick profit. I just find that so fascinating, because I grew up with budget titles for the ZX Spectrum, and while I will know I played many great games at the £1.99 and £2.99 budget game level, oh god, there was some absolute dross thrown out there as well. These days, of course, with the rise of downloadable games making publishing those games a doddle, and I should know, I do it on itch, this type of game production hasn't gone anywhere, especially on mobile phone and Steam. I wouldn't be surprised if you could chart a fairly direct path from the budget games on 8-bit micro home computers through to the PlayStation, through to modern day. But you know, that's another video I feel. Which is actually my way to say I've not got any way better to end this video. I think I've been wibbling on long enough. But you know, if you want to encourage future wibbling, all I ask is that you like the video, subscribe if you want to, and most helpful of all, share it with your friends. Or I suppose people you don't like if you feel that's more appropriate. Anyway, until next time, bye for now.